Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's sermon prep. This coming weekend is going to be the third Sunday of Advent in Year A. This Sunday is also called Gaudete Sunday. Gaudete from the Latin means joy. So it's a Sunday of joy. We always celebrate it on the third Sunday of Advent. And instead of our normal violet that we wear, this Sunday we're going to be wearing rose. Our color is going to be rose. And a lot of people would say that we wear pink. I always joke and say priests don't wear pink. Priests wear rose, but it is like a pink color. It reminds us of the joy of our lives as Catholics. The words of Saint Paul: "Rejoice in the Lord always," and again I say rejoice. So this Sunday is also called Pink Sunday by other people. It's Gaudete Sunday where we rejoice. And our readings are as follows. Our first reading is from the book of the prophet Isaiah, chapter 35, verses 1 to 6, and then verse 10. And the responsorial psalm is Psalm 146, verse 6 to 10. And our second reading is the reading from the letter of St. James, James chapter 5, verses 7 to 10. And our reading is the Gospel according to Matthew, Matthew chapter 11, verses 2 to 11. The Gospel this week tells us that John the Baptist had some sort of doubts whether Jesus was the true Messiah. You see, John expected a judge that would be hard on sinners. He saw instead one who tried to save the lost, one who was meek, humble, a Lamb of God, as he called him. How then can we convince people that the Messiah is among us? I don't think it's in long liturgies and in long prayers and the way that we think that Christianity is meant to be. The way that Christ's disciples must be signed is to do what their master did, to do what Christ did for us, and that is to serve others, to be kind to the lost, to be people who are meek and to people who are humble. Isaiah, in the first reading, it says that the wilderness and the dry land shall be glad. The desert shall rejoice and blossom, like the lily it shall blossom abundantly. They shall see the glory of the Lord. They'll see the majesty of our God. He will strengthen the weak hands and make firm the feeble knees. Say to those who are of fearful heart, be strong, fear not. Behold, your God will come with vengeance, with the recompense of God. He will come and save you. Then the eyes of the blind shall be opened, and the ears of the deaf will be unstopped. Then the lame man shall leap like a deer, and the tongue of the mute shall sing for joy. Now, even before we even got to this season of Advent, in our last liturgical year, when we went to the end of that year, already we were in preparation for this great coming. And normally we're afraid. We're afraid of the coming of the last day, of the coming judgment, because it brings us so much fear. In the readings that we had, and as you go to the end of Luke's Gospel, it tells us a lot that's going to happen that brings fear into us. But Isaiah today is saying there isn't a reason for you to be fearful. There's no reason to be fearful, because God himself will come and he will save you. Our response to the psalm is, "Come, Lord, save us." And the last stanza says, "It's the Lord who upholds the orphan and the widow, but thwarts the paths of the wicked. The Lord will reign forever, the God of Zion from age to age." Our God takes care of us. Our God protects us, and that's why we are no longer fearful. That's why when one of us passes away, we don't lose faith, because we know that God looks out for us and He takes care of His own. Our second reading from the letter of St. James, he says, "Be patient, brethren, until the coming of the Lord. Behold, the farmer waits for the precious fruits of the earth, being patient over it until he receives the early and the late rain. You also must be patient. You must establish in your hearts for the coming of the Lord that is at hand." We should, if you think about the coming of Jesus, which was preached like 2,000 years ago, and people slowly but surely say this is not going to happen, and they turn to their other lives, and they continue with life with disregard of God and His command. Saint James then tells us that we need to prepare for that day, but in our preparation we need to be patient as well. It's what St. Paul would say, that as you expect the coming and you wait the coming for the Lord, but also you be busy with whatever you need to do. You go on with your life. God finds us working. God finds us continuing what we're supposed to be doing. And then in our gospel reading, from the gospel according to Matthew, we hear that story about John the Baptist and his disciples asking Jesus exactly, "Who are you? Are you the one, or should we wait for someone else?" And Jesus answers them. He says, "Go and tell John what you have seen and what you have heard. Tell him that the blind receive their sight, that the lame are walking, that the lepers are cleansed, that the deaf hear, and that the dead are raised up to life, and the poor have good news preached to them." And at the end it says, "Truly I say to you, among those born of women, there are risen no one greater than John the Baptist." This is Jesus speaking about John. "Yet he who is the least in the kingdom of heaven is greater than he." And it almost puts a bit of a damper on John. John was a cousin of Jesus, about 6 months older than him. And we hear how much Jesus praises him. But he says, the least of those who are in the kingdom of heaven are somehow even greater than John. That's how important you and I are to God. If we fall into this fold of Him, into this kingdom, and be the people that He wants us, that He expects us to be, we become great. We become, because the least of us is the one who becomes the greatest in the kingdom of heaven. So that's going to be our readings for this coming week, as we in the third week of Advent in year A. Don't forget to wear pink to look good like Father for this coming week. Alright, so have a blessed one and you take care. Cheers.